Hi, my name's Andy. This is my first YouTube video. It's on my rare rock and crystal collection. It's a little bit longer, but I'll be doing shorter videos in the future when I use my microscope more. And other than that, I'm ready to get going. This here is one of my favorite pieces. It's called Vivianite. It comes from Bolivia. It formed beautifully into these twisting, elongated, prismatic shapes. It has good color and translucence. It's very fragile. The yellow and red crystals on it are known as siderite. It's one of my favorite pieces. It has a real magical fantasy look to it. I really like it a lot. Here's my next piece. It's called crocoite. I have two specimens of it. It's from Tasmania. They're forming red, elongated, thin, fragile crystals. This piece has them going in all sorts of really different directions. It gives it a very artistic look. It's definitely one of my favorite pieces. And then here's another piece that I have. It's not quite as fancy looking, but it's very lightweight for its size. It has the crystals running throughout the entire matrix. They both come from Tasmania. Yeah, I like both these pieces a lot. Here I have a piece of aryllachite from Durango, Mexico. It formed out of a limonite ground mass and crystallized. Gives it kind of a neat, mystical ice cavern look to it. The crystals are acicular. Gives it a gorgeous sky blue look. I think you'll really enjoy looking at this one up close. Here I have a little piece of golden barite on a white crystal quartz. It comes from Shanghai, China. Looks like a little crystal egg or sunny side up. The bottom of it's really clean and really sparkly. I don't know why that is, but it's a pretty neat little piece. Looks like a little magic egg. I like it a lot, and I think you'll enjoy looking at it up close too. Here I have one of my favorite pieces. It's comes from Shanghai, China. It's fluorite that kind of came out into squares, and golden barite stepped out onto the edges. Kind of makes it look like a magical mountain range or something like that. I really like it. I have another sample for you to look at too. This piece of golden barite is a tank, and it came from New Mexico. The bottom of it is a really nice green purple fluorite, depending on what kind of light you have it in. And what's really neat is when you hold it up to a light, you can kind of see a little halo go around all the fluorite. It looks really neat. It's definitely one of my favorite pieces. The golden barite's very thick on it. It's sparkly, very heavy. It's definitely a unique piece. Here I have some different qualities of emeralds I want to show you. This one's from Brazil. It has a nice pale green color to it. In certain spots you can actually see it taking on its hexagonal crystal formation. It's a very cheap specimen, only cost me like 10, 12 bucks, something like that. But just want a cheap emerald if you ever want to look into one. Here I have one of my favorite rocks. It's from the Muzo mine in Colombia. It's a gem green emerald, still on the matrix. Has much better translucence and color, and it's a much higher quality emerald than the last one. Has little lines of sediment you can see that grew over time. Has a, on the back, if you zoom in real close, you can see tiny flakes of gold in there and all sorts of different minerals, and it's a really good shape, good colored piece. It's one of my favorites. I think you're gonna really like looking at this one. Here I have a very high quality emerald. That's why it's so small. Don't have the money, but it came from Colombia. It has, it's a prismatic shape. It even started taking on the hexagonal formation. You can see it in when you're zoomed in on it really good. It has really good color and translucence. You'll like looking at this one too. Here I have a piece of hemiformite or hemimorphite. Came from China. It's got a botryoidal crystal form, kind of bubbled out throughout this entire striped rock. Has a really good sky blue color, and it's surrounded by this little white border everywhere it goes. It's kind of neat. Here I have another piece of hemimorphite. It also came from China. It's much more sparkly. Still has the botryoidal crystal formation. Looks like a iceberg or some sparkly glacier or something like that. I really like this rock. On the back of it, it still has the same kind of matrix, and it still has the white border around the inside, just like the other one did. But this one's much bigger and much more sparkly. I really like this rock. Here's my third piece of hemimorphite. It came from Durango, Mexico. It's much different than the other pieces. I think it's because it came in from a different environment. The crystals are prismatic, sharp, spiky, kind of brown and clearish. It's still on the matrix. I don't know. Please tell me if I'm wrong, but I believe it has the same composition as the last two rocks I showed, but a different environment caused it to form differently. That's what I think. But yeah, it's also called hemimorphite. Here's one of my absolute favorite crystals. It's called vanadinite. It comes from Mibladin, Morocco. It formed into prismatic hexagon cubes. Comes in different colors. This is a very candy red. I got a really good sample. Comes on a nice shiny matrix of barite. I really love how the spires of octagons kind of shoot up. It reminds me of a crystallic volcano erupting or something like that. Here's a piece of malachite that I have from Zacatecas, Mexico. It's different than the other ones I have. It has small green fibrous crystals covered by a nice sparkly quartz. Still on the matrix. Looks really good up close. I think you'll really enjoy this one. Here I have my second piece of malachite. This one comes from China. It has beautiful sparkly veins of blue azurite running through it. Azurite and malachite are common together. This malachite came out in a botryoidal form instead of the fibrous, but even on the bottom it just has beautiful azurite running through the entire thing. Definitely one of my favorite pieces. Here's a piece of high quality azurite, crystallized into a tabular form. It's just absolutely beautiful. It blades out in all these different directions. Comes from Morocco. Definitely, it was the best piece of azurite I could find on eBay. I snagged it, so I'm pretty happy with this one. You'll really like looking at it up close. Here's one of my favorite rocks, and also one of my smallest. It's hessonite garnets in a diopside matrix. It came from Pakistan. The garnets came from a cubical crystal habit, and the diopside is more of a prismatic. It's one of my favorite pieces. Has really good sparkle, shape, color. Gives it a very artistic look. You're really gonna enjoy looking at this one. Here I have a specimen of spessartine garnets on a smoky quartz on a matrix of feldspar. It came from Tongbei Village, Fujian Province, China. The angles of the smoky quartz and the translucence give this a really cool artistic look. It's covered in orange spessartine garnets that I believe are from the Doctra. I can't pronounce it. I'll figure it out for you guys on my next video. But yeah, this has a really cool artistic shape to it. I love the good smoky quartz angles and the spessartine garnets in between. Here's another piece. The smoky quartz is darker. The garnets are a little bit bigger. Still has the matrix of feldspar, but this one has a little surprise on it. If you turn it around, it has a really big, like perfect garnet growing right out of the crystal matrix. Spessartine garnets are rare, and I think this is a cute little rock. I'm glad I bought it. The shape's very artistic. Here I have a really nice crystal quartz cluster on solid iron pyrite. It's fool's gold. Has great contrast. The gold and the white spikes just look really good together. Came out in a really nice cubic habit. There's almost all the gold is in squares. The bottom of it is just solid pyrite. This thing's pretty heavy. It's one of my favorite looking pieces. Has really artistic contrast to it. I really like it. Comes from Peru. Here I have another piece of fool's gold. The pyrite's very tiny but very sparkly. The ground mass is also very sparkly. I'm not sure exactly what it is. On the other side, it formed some cubical crystals. I'm not sure if it's basalt crystals or quartz crystals, but it's kind of a neat little rock. Very shiny. Found this one in cleaning out a garage with one of my buddies. Here I have two more examples of pyrite. I believe this is sodalite running on this half of the rock, and on this half of the rock is quartz, and it has iron pyrite kind of separating the two, going through it. Not sure if that's sodalite, but I'm guessing it is because I know that this is sodalite and it has iron pyrite in it too. And it's they're both kind of bluish in the same So I'm guessing that that's sodalite also. But when zoomed in, you can see all sorts of pyrite, golden pyrite running out through this rock. It's pretty neat. Came from Afghanistan. Not sure where the big one came from, but I'll enjoy looking at them. Here's a piece of aragonite. Came from Morocco. It has thick orthombic prisms radiating out in different directions. Gives it a really cool look to it. They kind of look like lopsided octagons. It's a really neat little piece, kind of explosive looking. It's called aragonite, and it's not too rare, not too common, but it's pretty neat looking when you find a good piece of it. Here's another piece of aragonite. It's huge, and extremely heavy. The man at the rock shop said it was the biggest piece of aragonite he's ever had, and I bought it, and kind of looks like a big crystal mushroom, if you ask me. I really like it. Thick, heavy prisms coming out in different directions. Very shiny. Definitely a cool piece. These are wolfenite crystals on a matrix of what I believe is mica. Came from Red Cloud Mine, Arizona. Wolfenite crystals are usually thin, square, and platy. They can also be red, brown, or orange. This is a really nice looking piece. I like the yellow-gray contrast. It can also be massive or granular crystal habits. But I got a thin, square, platy one. My next piece of wolfenite is from Mexico. The wolfenite is much thicker, but still tabular. Comes on a matrix of lemonite, I believe, or some red ground mass. It has sharp gray crystals called inlachite growing off of the wolfenite. Definitely a cool piece. I think you'll really like it. It has a lot of good sparkle to it and different shapes and colors. This is a golden healer crystal that I got from Arkansas. It's just a regular quartz crystal, but it has iron oxide underneath some of the crystal layers, giving it a gold iridescent look at some angles. This piece has really good angles and shine, and kind of makes me think of some sort of magical city or something like that. Here I have a smoky quartz on a matrix of quartz. It comes from Brazil. It has great points, angles, and shine. Looking at this piece kind of makes me think of some spooky cave or something like that. I think you'll enjoy looking at this one up close a lot. Here's a cute little rock I got from Baja, Brazil, or Bahia, Brazil. I'm not sure how it's pronounced. It's golden rutile crystals on hematite. Sometimes you can get pieces of the golden rutile that are very long, very fragile, but they're usually cut into slabs. So I'm still waiting on a really good piece to show you guys, but this was the best one I could find. This next piece I have is a cluster of aquamarine crystals growing out of a matrix of quartz or feldspar. I'm not really sure, but it has great color, great translucence. Notice the hexagonal formations. All the prisms are taken. This will be a really cool piece. Reminds me of a kind of a snowy city. Pretty neat. Here I have a piece of amethyst, pyramidal, that I got from Bolivia. It has really good angles, color, and shape to it. I really like it. It's just really flat surfaces and sharp and good color still. Here's my next amethyst. It's still on the matrix. I think it might have came from part of a geode or something, but it has really deep color, really good shine. I know it came from Mexico, but yeah, a little bit different than the last one I showed you. Amethysts come in all sorts of different shapes and sizes. Here's an amethyst that my mom gave me. The purple's a little bit faded or has less iron in it. I'm not sure which, but I think it looks better with the white quartz around it. Has a cool white quartz crystal growing out of the middle of it. And it's half a geode, and it is polished. Kind of has a cool little agate there in different formations. It's a really, really cool piece that my mom got me. I like it a lot. Here's a piece of adamite on a lemonite matrix. Came from Durango, Mexico. Adamite can be elongated, thin, prismatic, or appear blocky and globular, like in this piece. It's highly fluorescent, and I think this is a neat looking rock. Here I have a piece of creedite. It has radiating crystals, bladed. They can be orange to brown. They're very hard and spiky. This piece came from Durango, Mexico. I like how the crystals radiate out in all directions. It's a really nice piece. Here's a neat little opal that I got off eBay. It's from Ethiopia. Cost $4. It's real shiny, has good color. Still the back of it still has the cave on it. Definitely worth the $4 off eBay. I recommend anybody going on there and getting one. Here's a sample of pyromorphite that I got. They're hexagonal pale green crystals coming out of a limonite matrix covered in a sparkly quartz. It's a really cool looking piece. I'm waiting for a better piece with lime green crystals, but just haven't found one I really like yet. I'm kind of picky about the crystals I buy. Here I have a sample of rhodochrosite, a quartz with some golden pyrite coming out of it. Has just good contrast and good color, and I don't know, I just kind of liked it, so I snagged that one off eBay. It's just a cute little rock, came from Peru. I think you'll enjoy looking at it. Alright, well that's the end of this video. This is my first video. I hope you enjoyed it. Give me a thumbs up if you liked it, and leave a comment and let me know what your favorite rock is.